Good morning. I wanted to walk through some initial thoughts, and I feel like I should have done this from the beginning to show you my blank mind, but this is an exercise to get started in the day with a blank piece of paper. And this is where I ended up thinking about how we address the challenge of the chickens. How might we get Christopher closer to the chickens? So, I shared with you one view of design thinking, which is the Innovators Compass, going from inspiration to, first you observe, which leads to inspiration. You start to make sense of that, those points of inspiration, kind of start to collect the different pieces and clues and identify what the opportunity area is. So there's a bunch of thinking that's going on here. And then once you've identified an opportunity area, you create the how might we question, HMW, and then you brainstorm. So you get a bunch of different ideas, ideate, right? And then from there, you're like, let's vote on these ideas. Which ideas do I like the most? So if you have 3 or 4 people on your team, you can do dot voting. Everyone gets like 2 or 3 dots. Vote on your favorite idea. And then whatever is the winner, or if there's like a cluster, I'm like, these 2 ideas are pretty similar. And let's do something about that. Let's create a prototype. And so where we are in our process is we've covered this observation. We've covered this part as well, sense making, synthesis, and we did a brainstorm. It hasn't been a linear process. We've kind of changed what's in the middle along the way. We've had different topics, whether it's being here in quarantine, working remotely, or going to school remotely, virtually. Also, how do you like this new setup? So this is where we're focused, right? This is where we are in our journey. So I want to expand on that. This is, in this model of design thinking, this is now, this is future. This is the details, called micro, details, macro, big picture. All right, so this is a 2x2. I've adapted this to think about a bigger scale. And I want to take this moment to think about the greater scale, because human-centered design is what got us into trouble. Humans, thinking about humans, what they need, what they desire. Greedy humans, serving greedy humans. It's a cycle that leads to destruction. So how do we zoom out of the human kind of ego-driven, selfish, need-based, like I want a drone that delivers me tacos and hot coffee. Like, okay, but at what cost? At what price? Why? And so to transition from human-centered design, where humans are in the center, we transition to life-centered design, where humans are just a layer, the middle layer, the layer that we're most familiar with. And I call that the meso. It's the human layer. So we have micro, which are microbes, small things, and macro. So that was what was missing for me in this picture, is that we were just talking about humans and we were not really acknowledging, we were just in this quadrant actually. Like that's where this is. Like, we're missing a section, but. So we weren't talking about the past, and we weren't talking about the deep past. What is the deep past? So let's take Christopher and his chickens. All right, why are we talking about Christopher and his chickens? Because he's got a job of feeding the chickens. And the chickens need to get organic food, compost, our food scraps brought down to them, as well as supplementary chicken feed. Now, what did we think about ideas for chickens, feeding chickens? There's a bunch of ideas. So one idea was to outsource it to somebody else, just hire another person. Maybe Christopher becomes the CEO of a chicken farm and he can hire interns. Outsource it. Another one was to create a machine, some sort of, I don't know, canister with a timer. So if we could MacGyver that, if you have whatever Arduinos or Raspberry Pi, just something with a clock with a timer. There are probably simpler things. There are actually, I saw this yesterday. It's kind of expensive, but it's a contraption, like a metal contraption where the chickens just step on the door and then the feed comes out. It's made by Grandpa or something. I can show you a photo of it. My notes was at Maui Bee's farm yesterday, meeting Mark, who's the co-owner, steward of that place. And so the chickens, they have chickens, they have chicken tractors, because they have pasture for the chickens, and so the chickens would be in their chicken tractor, and then the fence would go up, and then the chickens would graze in that area, the cows were over in another area, and then when it was all done, they had this little chicken feeder, this metal box that chickens would step on a lever. The lever would open and the chicken food would fall out. He was importing chicken food from the mainland. There's a whole, like, let's look at how is he getting chickens to produce eggs, like that whole, so that's one solution, that the market. So let's think about the big picture. Okay, so now we have, what does it mean for the chickens? This is where I'm going to go with micro. This is how I'm interpreting micro is. Let us consider the quality of life for the chickens. Let us consider the quality of life for people in the chicken industry, the egg industry. What is that like? So we are at small scale, like this is a backyard chicken operation. Christopher's got other things to do. But as chickens, the chickens are also having their own perspective on this. There's a lot of feral chickens on Maui. Perhaps that is a kind of guide into our deep past with chickens. What if chickens were kind of roaming freely and we were just a village that had roosts kind of attached to our houses that the chickens could hang out in? And so if we'd have a dog, and the dog would keep whatever things away from the chicken eggs. And so the chickens were just like, if we had a bunch of houses, this is, I assume, how people in kind of more jungly, villagey situations maintain their chicken population, is that they just have them hanging out. If you go to Brazil, if you go to Ecuador, if you go to any of these countries where we're just, we're connected to our food more, because different, like rural, jungly, very rural, more wild. Okay, so this is the question here: is what's our original relationship with cultivating, domesticating chickens? That is kind of speculative, but that gives us a story and perhaps a hint about what might be sustainable. And sustainable just means that we're not doing any harm. I guess the journey past sustainable is regenerative. Right? So sustainable is like null, zero harm. We're currently in a lot of degenerative practices that chickens aren't happy, the water isn't happy, the neighbors aren't happy because it smells. And so how do we go from this place, which is like yuck, chicken farm, to cool, I got chickens in my yard, to yay, chickens are my buddies, I love chicken life, I am the king of chickens. Yeah. So why am I sharing this with you? Why am I going from human-centered design thinking, to life-centered design? Well, because of this, the economic system that rewards our bias towards action. So in our brainstorm, we had a lot of like, let's just do this. Let's make an automatic chicken feeder. And all right, so if we just run and leap to a solution, there is some value in learning by doing. There's a lot of value in learning by doing, kind of working with your hands. So I want us to do that. It's just like work with our hands. But this is a point in this, I'm up here. I'm kind of like, let's think about this. Let's go back to here and This is why I'm kind of pulling in this life-centered design framework. So with our bias towards action, we have shallow thinking, and we don't address the root causes of why Christopher is not enjoying his life with the chickens. Perhaps we can just do an experiment where we put a hammock and some trees above the chickens, and so Christopher can live, sleep much closer to the chickens. It'll be a lot easier for him to get there. How is that going to be for Christopher? I don't know. Might not be the best place to camp, but it'd be certainly convenient. What are other scenarios that we've identified here? Yeah, okay. Anyways, that we can either bring the chickens to Christopher, or Christopher to the chickens, or bring robots to the chickens, or whatever. But back to the bigger point about why we need to consider the why and the how. The how is actually sometimes more important than the why, because we can justify things with a very pretty why, but how we do it, how we execute, is not so pretty and not so nice. What happens in our current system is we've got this dynamic of someone invents something cool, they go on Shark Tank. People in China are watching Shark Tank, and they make shark fin soup out of the ideas because they have the factories that are able to very quickly replicate and improve on the ideas that they see. So they see and steal, and then once they've taken that idea, improved on it, they can go to Amazon Marketplace and boost that through gaming the system. So if you're an inventor in America and you want to get investment from Mark Cuban, good luck beating the folks who are watching you. It's a consideration. Shanzai means mountain fortress. They were the bandits who were hiding out in the mountain fortress, but it's become this symbol of innovation in China, which used to be kind of derivative innovation, like fake iPhones, but now is like, actually, those are good. So the world of innovation in China has definitely, in the last 15, 20 years, been raising exponentially toward the quality of what's being produced, and the design that goes into those products is also improving. So it's very competitive. So how do we have what's our local advantage, local chickens, with our CEO, Christopher? So this is me kind of in the first thing in the morning doing a brain dump. Like, I've got a fresh mind, let's think about things. I'm not going to explain this. This is a little bit esoteric, but this kind of helped me ground. Do you want me to explain this? No, I have to explain all the symbols of the lunatic springs thing. It's a bit of a divergence. Anyways, this is more about author, audience, source, grounding. It's a system that I use to think about relationships and teams, and relationships from producers to consumers, and relationships in general. Cool. All right, I think it's time for breakfast. Maybe time to get some eggs from Christopher. So that's the easiest thing for me, is I can just ask Christopher, got some eggs? And I have to go to the store. Thank you. Aloha. I hope this turned out good.